Sterling Heights, Michigan. Dr. Lena Thorne, a black emergency room physician, pulled into the dim lot of Medicare pharmacy after a brutal 16-hour shift. Her scrubs clung to her skin. Her hospital badge still hung from her chest. She just wanted her lisinopril refill. That was all. Inside, the pharmacy was nearly empty. A teenage clerk sat behind the counter, glued to his phone. Lena handed over her prescription, ID, and insurance card. "Hi, just picking up my refill," she said, tired but polite. The clerk glanced at the screen, frowned, then whispered to the store manager, a pinched woman named Agnes Periwinkle. She approached Lena with that expression Lena knew too well, suspiciously polite. "I'm sorry," she said, "but there's an issue with your insurance." "I've picked this up here every month," Lena replied. "Tonight, it doesn't match," Agnes said, her tone tight. "We've called the police. You'll need to wait." Lena's gut twisted. She knew the script. Not a glitch. A trap. She stood still. Didn't raise her voice. "I gave him my ID. Everything's correct." But it was already done. The blue and red lights washed across the windows. Two officers walked in. One of them, Officer Brock Slater, looked at Lena like she was a perp before she even spoke. His partner, Carter, hovered behind him, uncertain. "That's her," Periwinkle cried. "Insurance fraud." Slater didn't ask questions. "Ma'am, step outside." "I haven't done anything wrong," Lena said. "Last chance," he said, already moving in. "She gave us everything," the clerk blurted, but it didn't matter, Slater lunged. His grip snapped on Lena's wrist, then, without warning, he spun her around and locked his arm around her throat. The store gasped. A phone lifted, red recording light blinking. Lena gasped, "I can't breathe." "Stop resisting." Slater barked. "She's not fighting." Carter yelled, trying to intervene, but Slater tightened his hold, dragging her down like a predator proving a point. She saw white. Her legs buckled. Then, just as fast, he released her, shouting, "She assaulted me." Cuffed and breathless, Lena was hauled through the pharmacy like a shoplifter. A woman shouted, "I got it all on video." A child cried. Lena didn't look back. She didn't cry. She just said, "You just made the biggest mistake of your life." At Northwood Precinct, the air was stale. Slater smirked as he pushed her toward booking. "She can't talk, Sarge," he lied. "Play mute back there." Lena lifted her chin. Dr. Lena Thorne, registered emergency physician, federal investigator, Operation Veritas. The room stopped. The sergeant blinked. "What?" "My badge is in my coat. My credentials are in the system. You've just arrested a federal civil rights agent." Slater's smirk faltered. "They booked her anyway. Fingerprints. Mugshot. Cold bench." Slater hovered near the bars. "Talk now." Lena stared at him. "You're going to regret tonight." He scoffed, but Carter's face paled. Minutes passed. The precinct buzzed low. Then came footsteps, sharp, deliberate. The front desk hushed. Lena's pulse quickened. Not from fear. Her father had arrived. Arthur Thorne walked in with two federal agents in dark suits. Though retired, he moved like thunder in a sermon. His eyes found Lena. Calm, proud. Then he faced the desk. "Who's in charge here?" he asked. The sergeant stepped forward. "That would be me." Arthur's voice never rose. "Then explain why my daughter, licensed doctor, federal investigator, was choked and arrested without cause, without verification, on camera." Slater stepped up, defiant. She refused to comply. "We had reason to believe." She handed over her ID. Arthur said. She complied. She was choked. An agent stepped forward. "Open the cell." Slater barked. "You can't just—" "You already did," the agent snapped. "When you laid hands on a federal operative without protocol." Slater's lips curled. "I followed procedure." "No," Carter said, his voice cracking. "She stood still. She gave us everything. You attacked her." Silence slammed the room. All eyes turned to Slater. Lena stood behind the bars, shoulders squared. Arthur looked at his daughter again. "Are you all right?" Lena nodded once. "Yes." The agent pulled keys from his pocket. "Let her out. Now." But before the lock clicked, the precinct phones lit up. All of them. The sergeant picked up the first. His face drained. Then another line. Then another. Lena watched him, eyes sharp. The storm had arrived. The key turned. The cell door creaked open. Arthur Thorne said nothing. He didn't need to. The weight of his presence alone made Slater take half a step back. Lena walked out without hesitation, brushing past her aggressor like he was nothing more than a shadow. Her chin stayed high, her breath steady. Her voice had been stolen that night, but not her power. Outside the precinct, the world had changed. A small crowd gathered. Nurses, pastors, college students, neighbors in pajamas. The video had gone viral. Flashlights flickered. Voices whispered her name. "You're not alone," a woman murmured, brushing Lena's arm. Lena didn't flinch. She just walked. Inside a nearby federal safe house, agents moved like a hive. Body cam footage was decrypted. Witnesses contacted. Evidence secured. A screen looped the moment Slater's arm crushed her throat. A second showed Officer Carter yelling, trying to stop him. The videos are verified, an agent confirmed. Every angle, every second. This case is active. Lena sat across from the review team, fingers folded, recounting each moment. Her wrists bore faint red bruises. Her voice was hoarse, but her memory was exact. Arthur watched from the side, silent. The old instincts were returning. He knew what this could become, and he knew exactly how far it could go. WY Sunrise. Headlines screamed across national networks. Doctor choked during pharmacy arrest. Footage sparks federal probe. Her name hadn't even been said on camera yet, and still, it burned across social media like wildfire. Later that day, Lena stood inside a chilly congressional hearing room. Reporters, lawmakers, and staffers filled the seats. Her father sat beside her, arms crossed, eyes fixed forward. When the room fell still, the lead representative nodded. "Dr. Thorne, you may begin." She didn't raise her voice. She didn't need to. "I'm not here because I'm special," Lena said. "I'm here because I was visible. Because what happened to me was recorded. But how many people never are?" The room fell into a deep, uneasy silence. She spoke of the pharmacy, of the accusation, of being choked without cause, without warning, without recourse. She told them how quickly truth became irrelevant, how easily suspicion became violence. "I didn't survive that night just to hear polite apologies," she said. "I'm not asking for pity. I'm demanding change. For every person this has happened to in the dark." When she finished, there was no applause, only stillness, heavier than before. And something else, resolve. Behind closed doors, civil rights attorneys, DOJ officials, and oversight committees sprang into motion. What began as a simple arrest now turned into something much larger. Slater's disciplinary file emerged, revealing prior complaints. Internal Affairs opened a formal inquiry. Protests outside Northwood grew. Not thousands, but steady, daily, determined at 8 home. Lena brewed tea while watching coverage in silence. Her father leaned in the doorway. "You never asked to become a symbol." "No," she said, "but now I am one." He didn't argue. "Then be a dangerous one." Weeks later, Officer Slater was officially suspended pending federal charges. Carter, now a key witness, testified in full. Ms. Periwinkle resigned from the pharmacy. Medicare Corporate issued a public apology, but it was too little, too late. Lena met with lawmakers privately to advise on police accountability reform. Her quiet, razor-sharp presence was unlike anything they expected, but exactly what the moment demanded. She didn't shout. She asked pointed questions. She described what it felt like to be slowly erased, by suspicion, by force, by silence, and then to reappear as a name trending online. One morning, standing on the steps of a state courthouse, she delivered her first public statement. "My name is Dr. Lena Thorne," she said, "and what happened to me happens every day. The only difference is this time someone hit record. If you're listening now, you've already seen what they try to hide. So the question is, what will you do about it?" The crowd erupted. Signs waved. Reporters shoved mics forward. She stepped down without fanfare. This wasn't a victory parade. It was the start of war. On policies, on silence, on the lie that credentials can protect you when your skin alone can still mark you as suspicious. Months passed. Officer Brock Slater was indicted for assault and abuse of authority. The department faced a civil lawsuit. Internal training programs were dismantled and rewritten. Lena never returned to Metro General. Instead, she was appointed to a federal oversight board on law enforcement bias, a quiet but powerful role. She no longer wore her white coat. But her work, somehow, had never been more urgent. Late one night, she sat alone on her father's porch, sipping tea as warm summer air drifted by. Arthur joined her, handing her a folder of updates: new body cam regulations, independent review mandates, whistleblower protections, all inspired by the Thorn Protocol. She smiled faintly. "I didn't ask for a legacy." "No," Arthur said, "but you earned one." They sat in silence. Not the silence of fear, not the silence of being ignored, but the silence that follows when a system cracks and light finally begins to pour through.